Next recipe. So this is, you know, not everyone's making their own pasta every day, but I decided, you know what, let's show you how to do it because it's a great skill. You know, something I was one of the first memories in the kitchen that I've ever had, and it's, you know, something that you do maybe once in a while. You can freeze it. You know, you can stock up your freezer with loads of delicious pasta, and homemade pasta is leaps and bounds better.
You can't compare the taste, the texture. It's wonderful.
So we're going to do something a little bit different today. We're going to make pumpkin pasta. And this is, I mean, a recipe, again, you can use any sort of squash. I actually use a combination of this pumpkin here, which is your pie pumpkin, and your Hubbard. But you can use any sort of pumpkin. Any of the leftover squash you don't eat, you can even mash that up, use that. It's delicious. So we're going to use half a cup. Now, has anyone made pasta before? No one made pasta before. Okay, excellent. So you can do the old school method. You know, grandma would be proud. You're going to make your little well with the flour, put your wet ingredients in, mix it up, slowly work it. You're going to make a mess doing it, but it's, you know, it's a good skill to learn. We're going to do a cheat, which is a lot faster. We're going to put it into a food processor. You don't have to tell anybody you did this.
Don't tell Nona.
Yes. So half a cup of the puree. Yeah. I don't think she's
not watching? Oh. Your secret is safe with us. Whatever makes it faster and easier, I'm the fan.
So 2 eggs, half a cup of the squash puree or the pumpkin puree there. And we're going to do about a tablespoon of olive oil. And that's the wet ingredients. So we're going to buzz this up. Plug it in first. That's important.
Step 1.
Just till it mixes it around a little bit. All right. Scrape it off the sides. And now we're going to add our dry ingredients. So 2 cups of flour. We're using red Fife flour. We love red Fife, but you can use spelt flour. You can use any sort of flour will work for this. When you're making pasta, most of the time, especially for this recipe, you need something with gluten in it. So I've never tried this without gluten, like a gluten-free flour. You might have to just change the measurements, and the proportions a little bit. But this works definitely with any sort of regular flour. Pinch of salt. And I said 2 cups, I meant 2 1/4. I think I have 2 1/4 on your recipe there. And just a pinch of nutmeg in here. Again, the pumpkin and the nutmeg are going to go really, really well together. Okay, and then we're going to whiz it up again. It takes about a minute, but it is the easiest pasta you will ever make. Right. Now everybody's measurements are different. If you find it's too wet, you just add a little bit more flour. If it's too dry, you know, add a little bit more of the squash puree, a little bit of water. So you're gonna scrape down the sides, do it a few more times, but essentially this is what you're looking for here. This is the dough. Really nice and soft. It's a little sticky, so I'm gonna put it onto a surface, floured surface, like this. And knead it a couple times, and then stick it in the refrigerator. So we're gonna get something like this. So you can see just by me squeezing it, it's a pretty soft pasta dough. Most pasta doughs are a little bit harder, but for this we want it a little bit softer.
How long does it have to stay in the fridge for?
So it should be refrigerated for at least 30 minutes, just so that it rests a little bit. You know, all the ingredients kind of come together. It firms up nicely. You can do it overnight though. You can definitely make the pasta dough, put it into the fridge. I've seen people do it actually, make it and put it in the freezer as well. Then you let it defrost and you can roll the pasta after. And so when we're rolling, we're gonna make what's called farfalle today.
Do people know what farfalle is? Bow ties. That's what I call them.
That's
the bow tie shaped pasta.
So farfalle actually in Italian means butterfly.
Butterfly. There you go. That works too.
It means butterfly, but yeah, it's your bow tie shaped pasta. It's a really fun, it's an easy one to do. So we're gonna flour our surface. Actually, I use all my flour for the pasta dough. So I'm using chickpea flour here, which is fine. You can use that as well. And I rolled out a piece of the pasta. If you have a pasta machine, it's definitely use it. But you can use, a wine bottle. You can use a rolling pin. This is, again, it doesn't have to be perfect. We just want to get it thin enough. So like this, it's not paper thin, but I'm horrible with measurements. We're gonna say it's a 1/16 of an inch.
It's like a pamphlet.
Don't go by that. Yeah, just maybe go by
a paper folded 3 times. A pamphlet on making pasta.
Okay, and you can use a knife. If you have one of these pasta rollers, these are really fun. And what we want to do is create rectangles, kind of like 1 inch by 2 inch. If it's not even, that's okay. You're making fresh pasta. If someone's going to complain about the consistency of the sizes, you can kick them out.
No one's ever complained about fresh pasta in the history of time.
So what we're doing here is we're creating these little rectangles. And I'm going to do a couple, and then we'll see if Christy can finish off the rest. So we take one piece. I'll try to move it out of the way. Okay, so we take one rectangle here. Okay, you ready for this? This is for the bow tie. This is for the butterfly pasta. You grab your thumb and your index finger, and you're going to pinch in the middle, and that's it.
Let's see that again.
Dead simple, really, really easy. And then you're going to want to do that about 400 more times, and you have enough for a serving. So like I said, I mean, you can, if you have your favorite, whole grain flour or pasta that you like to buy, you can definitely use that. But this is a basic pasta recipe, super easy. It takes 2 minutes to put together. And then you can even, like, if you don't want to get fancy with the little bow ties here, you can even just leave them any shape, like little squares like this, or little rectangles rather like this. It'll be fantastic, it'll be delicious. So now we've done our pasta, and these can be frozen as is. We'll let Christy do a few more here.
Awesome.
So you can freeze these ahead of time, or you can freeze them, and they'll take about 5 minutes to cook. From fresh, they'll take about 3 minutes to cook. So very, very fast. It does not take long at all. And we're going to put them. So I was up very early this morning. If you want them to dry out, you can just put them on a baking sheet like this, and leave them out on the counter. Put a little dish towel over top, and in a few hours they'll start to harden a little bit. And then from there, again, you can refrigerate it, freeze it. Mine are sticking together a little bit because it's very hot in this kitchen. But when we're boiling our pasta, we're going to add a pinch of salt to the water there. Not only does that season the pasta a little bit, it prevents it from sticking as well. Yes, these guys are a little warm, but we'll manage. All right, so I'm going to put some in. And like I said, these take, today they're not going to be bow ties. I think they're going to be more like some other set of, be a long tie. So we'll put a few in here. And these aren't going to take long. So it's going to be boiling. It's going to take about 3 minutes. Always flour your surface. Even when you store them, just prevents it from sticking.
And how long do you cook it from frozen?
So from frozen, 5 minutes. Yeah, it does not take long at all. Don't defrost it. You're just going to put it straight in from frozen. Okay, now
Very
for
cool.
our sauce. Now today we decided to use a protein we've never used before in the kitchen. I had to plead and bargain with Christy. So we're using 1 duck leg for this entire recipe, and that'll serve about 4 people. And it's pretty reasonable. For a duck leg, you're looking at anywhere between like $4 and $3 to $5, really.
Yet in a restaurant, it's so expensive.
It is very expensive in a restaurant. But yeah, grocery store, try making it yourself. Super, super simple. So we have our leg here. What we want to do is, you can either score it, or I like just kind of pricking it with a knife. And what this does, it allows the fat in the skin to render a lot faster. Now,
what does render mean?
So render means to melt. The fat melts. When the fat melts, that's rendering. So it'll give you, and I mean, if you're taking the skin off after anyways, it's not going to matter, but it's going to give you a really, really nice crispy skin on the outside. So, and you can do this with chicken as well. You just want to poke it a little bit. Also, if you are putting any seasoning on top, by poking a little bit ahead of time and rubbing it in, you'll actually penetrate the duck leg a little bit more with the flavor. So we're going to poke it a few times. We're going to add a little bit of, this is ground star anise, which has a beautiful, warm, sort of fall, Christmassy type of flavor. You can use just regular cinnamon if you want, nutmeg. A little pinch of salt, and a little ground pepper. And that's it. Rub this in, put it on a pan, 325, so very, very low heat for about 75 to 90 minutes. So it doesn't take a little longer, but that's because we're doing a very, very low heat. If I cranked up the heat, it obviously wouldn't take as long, so you can do that as well. But I suggest to do a lower heat with a meat like this.
Is that because it'll taste better?
It flakes a lot nicer after,
you won't
so
dry it
shreds
out.
exactly. Shreds a lot easier.
Sounds good to me.
So now for the sauce, we'll work with this fast because that pasta is definitely cooked there. Through some leeks in a pan, medium heat with a little bit, just about a teaspoon of olive oil. We're going to throw some Brussels sprouts in there as well. And what we want to do with the Brussels sprouts is shred them ahead of time. So what you can do is just cut through it like this so that it kind of shreds, falls apart. It's like a little baby cabbage. So it's like you're making a little mini coleslaw here. So you got your shredded Brussels sprouts. That's going to go in. This is a delicious way to do Brussels sprouts. I think most people are probably used to them just whole. But shredded, it's really nice. And you can, I was kind of joking about the coleslaw, but you can actually make a coleslaw. You can have it raw. Raw Brussels sprouts are delicious, absolutely delicious. It's going to be very, very fragrant. And we're going to move fast here because it is a pretty fast sauce. So the garlic's going to go in. We're going to get some sage, which is just, super fragrant, beautiful. You can use any herb you want here. Rosemary, thyme. I'm going to put some parsley too. This is sage from our garden, actually. We grew a lot of sage this year. So I'm trying to find recipes.
Sage did really well. You'll see it popping up in all of our recipes. You have to use what you have, right?
So sage in. We'll do a little bit of parsley as well. And an easy way to, what I'm doing here is an easy way to chop up herbs, kind of just bunch it, roll it up into a little bunch, and then run your knife through it.
We have a really fun food hack video on our YouTube page. If you check that out, one of the tips that we do for chopping up your herbs really quickly, grab a glass, throw your herbs in there, get a pair of scissors, clean of course, that you use for the kitchen, and just chop. And chop them in there, and you don't have to worry about cutting your fingers or anything like that. Your fingers are totally out of the way. You get a really nice chop on.
So parsley in. This is our duck. This is our cooked duck that we just shredded. Once it's cooked at that low heat, let it rest for about 5-10 minutes, and then you can use a fork, or if it's cool enough, use your hands, and the meat will come right off the bone. So really, really easy to do. And so now we're going to put this in here. Like I said, this is what I mean by, or even Krista mentioned this, you can use leftover turkey. It would work perfect in this.
Chicken, do a vegetarian version, whatever you like. It'll work beautifully here.
All right, so that's going to go in. We're going to add just a squeeze of lemon juice, so we want a little bit of acid here. And the pasta's ready. It's been ready for a while. It's a live show. I'm trying to do it as fast as I can. But what we want to do is use, because it's more of an ingredient heavy sauce instead of a liquid based sauce. So we want to use some of the pasta water as well. It's going to have a little bit of starchiness to it from the pasta. And as this cooks down, it's going to really give you a really nice thick sauce. Okay, and then the last thing is
Gotta have a
little bit of
parm.
Use sharp cheese, so you don't have to use a lot.
Absolutely. Maximal flavor.
It's ending up. It's all over the place today. So a little bit of parm in there. And then fresh made pasta is always going to look irregular. I think that's the beautiful thing about it. But it's going to go right into our sauce here. And like I said, you can use any sort of flour. Whole wheat flour, I find, tends to be a little bit on the grainy side. That's why we do use red fife. It's not only good for you, but I find in terms of cooking, in terms of baking, it's a nice medium texturally between like a white flour and a whole wheat flour.
And it's a little bit higher in fiber than the whole wheat.
Okay, so that's it. Give it a little toss there. Let's get this out of the way. Do a little plate. And because this is fresh pasta, you want to do it, you know, as soon as you're going to eat it. It'll just get softer as it sits. But it's a really nice sort of alternative, especially if you don't want to do a turkey or as a side.